Hey everybody, welcome back to Electric Cafe. Today's video is an album review on 1982, from 1982, The Gang of Four, Songs of the Free was their third album. Gang of Four started in roughly like 76 or 77 out of Leeds in the United Kingdom. Andy Gill, we lost him unfortunately. He passed away recently in 2020. He did vocals and guitar, and then also John King did guitar. And then I think it was Hugo Banahan I think was the drummer, and then I'm trying to remember the bass player. Dave Allen did bass guitar. Just a really strong album, strong band. I guess they had four albums, before like '83, and then just kind of broke up, and then kind of went their ways, and then kind of came back. I think they got back together like twice. They're kind of a very lesser known band in America. I think a lot of people don't know Gang of Four, and I think they're one of the strongest post rock bands, post punk bands from that time. I really like their work. They're so unique. Andy Gill's guitars are not only do they have like a sort of an interesting way to make songs. They're all over the place. Some of them are like sort of punk, some of them are sort of post punk. Some of them are very unusual. Some are kind of like, just abstract, and there's some songs that start with a vocal. Some songs start with just a really odd kind of sound, or some like unusual bass note, or like they have all kinds of unique. It's just a different band. And everything's really abstract. They didn't really have any per se like hit. I don't even think they had a hit in UK, and I don't think any of their albums even went maybe top 40. I don't know. Maybe in UK, maybe, but in America they were. Nobody really knew about them, and they really they just kind of kept a low key cult following ever since they came out, but not too many people know them. And I think the thing I most appreciate about them is Andy Gill's voice and John King's voice, and Andy Gill's like guitar playing is so like jangly and abrasive, and then they're funky with the bass, and it's just they're just so unique, and it's almost hard to explain. It's just they really are an alternative rock band. That's all you can really say about them. It's just really hard to pinpoint their sound, and really even really who they inspired, or who inspired them. It's just, I don't know. There's definitely a punk attitude in there, but it's just it's different, unique, and I think they really embraced that they weren't the prototypical punk band. But let's get into the review of the album. I've been reviewing a lot of stuff from 1982 lately. I did the Berlin album. I did a couple from 1982 recently. Psychedelic Furs. Where's that one coming up? Oh yeah, that one's coming up. So Songs of the Free. There's 9 tracks on here. First track, Call Me Up. Serious, funky, catchy. Chorus is good. Guitar's cool. Love the tone and the aggressiveness of the playing and the sound. Unfortunately, it doesn't really doesn't really turn into really anything particularly great, but I got it 2 stars, 2.25 stars. It's definitely above a good song. And then the second track is probably one of their most famous songs, if I can say famous. I Love a Man in Uniform. It's an interesting song. Again, like I was saying earlier, with like talking about the band, just an interesting. So it almost sounds like it would be like a song from the 50s or something like that, or 60s. Like it's kind of I don't know if because it has a military kind of theme in it, but it just makes it kind of sound like it's kind of vintage. Like I don't know, like would Doris Day or Ethel Merman or something like sing this type of song. I don't know. It's just kind of it's really unique. Um, and that's where the background vocal girl, I think her name was Sarah. She came on the band and on this album and kind of added like a element of singing in the background, which was cool. But everything's good in the song: bass, guitar, the groove, the verses, and the chorus. Just has a classic sound. The back and forth between the singing is really cool near the end. I got it right in between very good and excellent at 3.5 stars. One of the better songs on the album for sure. I have it tied with one other song for the best track on the album. Then track number 3, Muscle for Brains. It's a good song. It's underrated. I feel like I couldn't give it a very good rating, but I gave it as close as I could. It's right there. I got 2 3/4 stars. Sorry, they're mowing the lawn outside. Track number 4, It Is Not Enough. Doesn't really hit the same level as some of these other songs. I got it a little bit above okay. I got it 1.5 stars. And then track number 5, Life It's a Shame. I like this one. Is a little bit more moody. It's a nice switch up, which is nice because it is halfway in between the album. Towards the end, it gets a little deeper. I got it really close to very good. 2 3/4 stars for Life It's a Shame. Sorry. Track number 6, I Will Be a Good Boy. I really like the bass in here, the guitar, the drum sounds. Really cool song. It's tied with my favorite on the album, 3.5 stars. And then track number 7, The History of the World. It's got a really good groove. I really like the guitar sounds on here. Guitar sounds are pretty awesome. I got 3 stars. Very good song. And then track number 8, We Live as a Dream, Alone. It's pretty good. It's not bad. I got it 2 stars. Very good. I mean, it's a good track. And then the last track, 9, is probably tied for the weakest. It's kind of long. It's the longest track on the album. It's kind of underwhelming. Doesn't really get to any point where I'm like, oh, okay, this is a pretty good song. Like it just kind of dwells and kind of this kind of meandering. I wouldn't say pointless, but just doesn't really kind of get to the next level for me. So I got 1.5 stars. So the good about this album, the raw sound, just a funky band. Guitar riffs are so abstract and original, and it kind of ties everything together. It's verging on very good, but just not quite there. When I think of the bad, could be engineered a little better, but again, that's 1982 for you. I say that a lot about this year. It's not a fantastic year for engineering, but just something in that period of 82 to 83 where I don't know if it's pre-mastering or what have you, but every time I seem to get to an album in like 1981, 82, a little bit of 83, like they just don't sound that dynamic, and they're kind of generally quiet albums. But that's kind of the rawness of Gang of Four too. Like it does kind of have that sound of not being perfect and nothing, just being very unusual. I'd be interested to see how long it took him to record this album. Probably a few weeks. A few lackluster songs on here. Nothing bad. You know, everything's better than okay at least. When I add up the stars for the album, it's 22 point. Yeah, well, actually, one thing is the album has 9 songs on it. Is a tad short, but all the songs are above like 4 minutes for the most part. So you know, it's probably pushing 40 minutes for 9, but it's a little short. I feel like they could have added another song or so. But 22.75, 22 and 3/4 stars divided by 9 tracks is a 2.52. So right in between okay and good. You know, I got the overall of the album 65 out of 100. So it's I gave it a few extra points. It's actually is right in the middle as well, right in between good and very good as well. So you know, not a bad album. It's got some good songs on there. 3 very good songs. With I love a man in a uniform. I'll be a good boy and the history of the world. I like those three songs especially. Those are my favorite 3 for sure. Um, you know, when I'm thinking about the other 3 albums, Solid Gold, It's Entertainment, and then Hard. This is probably my least liked album out of the 4. If I'm guessing if I when I come to scoring the album, so it's all up from here for the band on the other 3 albums. But if I was to guess, I think this is probably the least liked out of the 4 albums. And saying that I do like the album. It's in the middle of good and very good. I feel like, and 65 out of 100. Yeah, that's my score for Songs of the Free by Gang of 4. I'm curious what would be your rating for this album, and do you have any? What's your overall thoughts on this album? I guess I'll start there. All right, thanks so much for watching.